Marvin, does your site can see the YouTube?
I didn't try.
I can hear your voice. How come? Oh, yeah, I can hear your voice. I cannot hear you.
You cannot hear me.
Guys, I think we are live at YouTube.
Yeah.
The music is
I saw the
smooth.
live
That means-
Yeah, I saw your YouTube studio online.
Oh, how come my set so... Seems like my network is not stable here.
I can see your YouTube studio.
Actually, I changed the screen already. But it's so slow that... That's scary. There are now 8 people online. Hello everyone. Oh, now there are 12 people. Awesome. Hello Riza. Marvin, how is the voice over the music? Is it smooth? Hello. Try. Hello everyone. Welcome to our Monday Singapore Donate Your First Community Meetup in May 2020. So this time around is a bit special because we host it in the midnight. And why do we host it in the midnight? It's because now we are connecting live to our developer from Bratislava. This is a Europe city, a very nice city. So I hope you all are coping well in the current COVID-19 situation. Even my network now is not that stable. So if there's anything wrong, I think like the voice or the video performance, please let us know on the YouTube chat. We have not been in touch for quite a while since like the last time we have this meeting. So I hope by having this meetup, we can put some positive energy to our community in both our nations to bring back some collaboration. So I'm Chunik, the event co-organizer of this meetup. So I'm happy to have my teammates Riza and Marvin tonight to help run this meetup together. So Riza is currently on Yeah, thanks. I forgot to off the. Thanks, Jakub. So I hope you all hear what I'm saying just now. Just a bit fanciful because of the BGM. Oh, it's all right now. So Marvin, today is will also be our speaker. So later we will share some exciting topic with you all. Okay. So if you have anything that you would like to reach out to us, like to join us as a speakers, we always welcome that. Just contact any of us through the Twitter, and Riza is the main guy. Okay. So without the support from you all, our communities cannot grow to today's scale. So last year December we just celebrated our 5th year anniversary, and this is our .NET Conf group photo. So thank you all for your support. We still have this program running, just that we'll see how we can kick it off. But I think I invited some of you to this chapter program already. Actually, it's a team project, so you can join there and to communicate lah. Okay. So in addition, if you like to code and you love to build something cool, please drop by our community GitHub, which is over here. So currently we have some cool projects over there. So if you would like to share with the rest of the community about your interesting project, you can always submit it to our GitHub too. So in our meetup, we welcome all sorts of like the way of conducting it. So some recommendations are listed over here, including an online meetup like what we are doing now. Okay, so this is our 6th YouTube live session. I hope I remember it correctly. So we have conducted so many, and thanks to all of your support, we finally have over 150 subscribers. It's not many, but it's quite an amazing number. And just now I checked, it's actually 170. Thank you so much for your support. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to our channel. And hopefully next time we can post up more videos about .NET Asia, not just about Meetup, but if you have individual sharing, we are welcome there also. Since we are doing this online, so please remember to guard your privacy and abide the YouTube community guidelines. So feel free to ask your question later in the chat, and the speakers will look through and answer your questions after each of their session. So today we have 3 speakers. The first is our Marvin. So he will be talking about intelligent assistant with Microsoft Bot Framework. So for those who are interested in AI Bot Framework, yeah, this is a talk that you will not want to skip. And then we have Jakub, which is our .NET Brastislava Meetup organizer. He will talk about code generators, as well as Rasťo. He will talk about SignalR core actually. So without further ado, I pass the time to Marvin.
Panel mate, and I would like to actually say thank you to the organizer Chun Lin, and as well as my 2 other friends from Europe. So thank you for everyone as well attending this midnight session, especially from Singapore. I believe it is a hard decision for you to actually stay up late on this Friday. Anyway, it's TGIF, right? You should actually spend more time with your friends. But I do appreciate you join us, spend your time with us, right? And for those from Europe, thank you for joining. I do actually glad to actually see everyone, even though I can't see you. But then I believe your participation have contributed to this society, the community a lot in Singapore. Thank you. Right. So today I'm going to share about the intelligent assistant with Microsoft Bot Framework. The reason why I come up with this idea is because I thought of something that could actually possibly help with the businesses. especially those very small business. But I think my demo may be having some glitch tonight because the network is really unstable. So I would share some of my recording, similar topic as well. I think almost the same content. So I'll share it on the link later on in the comment, right? Okay, but without further ado, I think I will go straight to the topic, right? So in human kind of history, we are actually like very proud of what we have been doing for the past decades, even centuries. We have been building a lot of amazing building and amazing what we call 7 wonders of the world. And I believe some of the buildings is already there for hundreds of years or even thousands of years. This is something that we really proud of. But over the times, with a lot of nations actually competing with each other to build the tallest and greatest building, right? You see today we have Abu Dhabi or Dubai that is building a lot of tallest building, and including China and many other nations actually trying to build grand building, big building, and tallest building. So right, so but for the past years, actually past 1 year, actually something that caught into my attention. We have been celebrating a lot of good news behind the back. Well, probably one huge bad one recently, but these 3 really caught my attention. First one, I think some of you actually, I think most of you should know about this, is as a human mankind, we actually captured the very first pictures of black hole, right? It is a breakthrough in astronaut industry and also in human mankind history, right? And second, flying cars to be built around, including one in, I think, in Singapore or Malaysia, then Japan and China, and I think many other places actually trying to build one as well. And third one is actually the second HIV patient that is recovered in this year, back in March. So I think this is something that we have been celebrating as a human, but things has changed drastically since as we know, we started to we used to actually gather around the world. You see, we have been freely navigating around. We have been freely gathering around, but things really change. You see that we're starting to actually move to virtual world, but it is not really a bad thing, right? You see, now I'm actually like knowing some of you from Europe. I think this is about connectivity. Although this pandemic really pushing us, forcing us to go into virtual world, but I think with the technologies today, we can stay together, even we are distantly actually apart, right? We have been paying cash notes for every single thing in our daily life, but I know there is one country which is pretty advanced, which is Sweden, in Europe. They started with credit cards, and nowadays they actually don't really pay cash. But I think elsewhere of the world, we are still pretty get used to actually pay cash note for every single thing in our daily life. Right? After this pandemic happens, we realize how important actually like we keep paying virtually using our e-wallets, digital currency, and how safe we can actually use these solutions to actually like practice social distancing. So there is another scenario, which is this is having a way that we can actually enjoy our meals, and we order the food in the restaurant. But thing has changed. We now have to actually like order applications. We order for food deliveries, especially in Singapore. We many of us actually like started to actually practicing order the food online. Right, so things really changed a lot after this pandemic. I'm not sure whether it will be back to usual days back then, but then I believe this pandemic really created a lot of habit change for us, right? And as well as the communication also being changed, right? Previously, we can actually meet to one another face to face. We actually spend a lot of time with our friends in the restaurant, in the parks. But today we can't. We really. I would say it's really hard to actually meet each other now. But right. So, but a lot of technologies can actually help us to deliver the message. Like currently, I'm delivering the message through YouTube to you, including WHO also using bot to actually like sending out their message to us with the bot, right? So Microsoft AI today is the thing that I would like to share. It's the beginning of the intelligent journey. I think we have been talking about AI for a long time, but today what I'm going to share is really basic. I think with this short time period, I think I can't go really deep, but I think it giving some ideas how we can actually put pieces together with the SignalR that other speakers will actually talk about later on. So I think some of the technology we can put pieces by pieces and puzzle it up together, right? So so Microsoft AI is actually it's not only about AI alone, but it's more importantly about the data behind it, about the technology behind it, and especially the infrastructure behind it. So Azure is the one that is actually powering the Microsoft AI. The Microsoft AI including cognitive services, bot framework, machine learning studio, and many others that you can actually find out on the Azure website. So intelligent cloud over here is Azure, and Azure as well, including the intelligent edge. So I believe this is kind of important for us as a developers or some tech geek guys to actually understand about, because by leveraging the cloud technology, I think we can do a lot more and we can reach out to more people, right? So this is Microsoft AI. So you can see that bot framework, cognitive services, and Azure machine learning is kind of like a part of the AI service actually used on the Azure technology, right? And what's more is actually we have AI tooling. So we have a lot of tools that help us to build AI solutions, right? So other than Azure or Microsoft AI on cloud, we also have the Windows AI platform. So we can see that some of the libraries is available for UWP and many other solutions, right? So today I'm sharing Microsoft Bot Framework specifically for Microsoft Bot Framework, because I think the idea why I started this topic is actually to help some of the small business in Malaysia when they are locked down, and some of the business actually like struggling to having some assistance from their employees, because their employees are now stay at home and they couldn't actually operate the restaurant, some of the businesses. So I think we can leverage the bot framework, right? So a comprehensive framework for building enterprise conversational AI experience, and it's definitely hosted on secure and scalable intelligent cloud, which is Azure, right? And extensible with the Microsoft AI services. So not only about bot framework, but now you can actually integrate with other AI technologies like connective services, the computer visions API, face API, and many other, like I think the very recent technologies like form recognizers, all this. So I think it's pretty helpful for some of the business, right? And one important thing is actually open source, supported with the open source SDK, and also integration, some of the integration API that are available around, right? So bot framework is not just bot, but it actually can be integrated with a lot technologies out there, right? So what you can see is channels, which is represent your Microsoft bot, which is can be connected to some other social networks applications like Telegrams, WhatsApp, email, Slacks, Microsoft Teams, all this, even Skype as well, right? So you can actually integrate all these things, and for this input, you can actually like build, use some of the pre-built kind of UI components for your bot. So you find it, the user experience maybe improve with some of the design of these pre-built components. So I think it will be very helpful, and you can actually use it with other devices, knowledge. Then you have you can build skills and many other things, right? So these are the channels that are supported: Telegram, emails, Skype, I think calendars, Messenger, Cake, what else? I think I'm not sure what is this, and Slacks, and of course Teams, right? And why we talking about, for some of us is like first time actually use the bot framework, because it really simple and easy to actually start. But bear in mind, this is still in preview, so sometimes it can't really operate well, but most of the time it is working fine, right? You can take down this URL if you want, and I will share the slides later on as well, so don't worry. And so today I'm going to actually show a very simple booking bot that is actually capturing the booking informations for the airline companies. So I just did a POC right here. So I think the idea can be actually integrated to many other scenario, catering for your businesses or your customers' businesses. So the technologies behind this is actually Azure Bot Services or Microsoft Bot Framework. The demo that I want to show is actually Telegram integration, but I think one thing is actually the network is pretty unstable on my side. I couldn't really have enough time to actually set it up. And there is one more thing is ASP.NET Core, and as well as SignalR. So with all these technologies, I think we can see that the flow might move a bit seamless, right? So right, so this is the source code and also the YouTube channel. But let me try to actually like do a demo first. If really cannot, then I will just pass to the next speaker, and you can watch on the YouTube channel later on. Right. Bring up my okay. Right. Okay. So what I have here is actually a bit laggy of my machines. Okay. You'll be able to see this. I think a bit small. Let me know if couldn't see the screen. Okay, right. So I think most of you actually screen is here. Let me see. Then after that, what you can do is you download the source code right over here. Right. So the source code will be the same as what I would like to show you over on the Visual Studio later on. So you just click on, then you download a source code. Then you get exactly right. I put in some of the customization to capture the booking information, right? So this is the API that will be connected to my database. So I assume that you already have your business API for your applications. So with the SignalR that we have, or SignalR that I would like to show later, right? But what we have here is actually like I did the customizations, right? So inside here, let me see. All right. So it's here. So what I did is actually like I'm telling the bot that once I have the confirmations, okay, I'll call the API, right? So once I having the confirmation right here, then after that I'll call my API to do the insert of the data, right? So this is my API endpoint, right? Okay. So let me run my API. So my API is very simple. I just connect to the database to do some capturing of the data. Right. So this is the API to do creation of the record. And right here, so actually I'm telling my front end that there is a record created. So it will reload the front end. Right. So let me start. So this application, the front end is actually Angular. So Angular also being supported by SignalR. So we can actually simply just do it, right? Give it some time, and at the same time, I would like to show you this as well. This is the bot framework. I'm not sure how. Okay, right. This is the bot emulator. So what you can see right here is actually my bot. Let's become nice. Sorry. Okay. So I couldn't show you everything. Right. So actually, bot framework on the side here, you can see some of the connectivity of the data, what is the API that is being called, and what is the context that is being passed. Right. Okay, so my machine is quite slow. Right. Is there any questions so far while we are waiting for this thing to actually load up? Yeah, it's lagging. Sorry, Caleb. think my machine is not doing well tonight. So far, is there any questions? Right. Okay. So let me test my board first. Let's see. Right, so supposedly I would like to actually show you once you actually confirm this, and it will actually show on the application. So let me see, maybe alright. I think it's too heavy for my machine because it actually take out the memory 100%. Okay. Let's see how good. Yeah, it's not compiled. Let us try again. Okay. Right. What else we just try? I have actually like hosting one this demo out here. Right. Right. Okay. Let me stop all my compilation. Okay. Stop it. And I stop this as well. Right. So the same code actually hosted already pushed on the Azure. Right. So let's do it here. Let's see. Okay. Yes. Zip push. Let's see. Yes. I think it's not connected. Let's see. Signal. Okay. Try one more time. May 20th. May 20th. Yes. Yeah. So as you see, the recorder is actually straight away pushed to the front end. So here we actually have this is the board framework. Actually, it's the same pieces of code as this. So once I press final confirmations, so it pushed to my API, and my API actually pushed to the front end. Right. So actually, I'm thinking to actually help small business, especially those who lack of employees during this pandemic. So like kitchens. So let's say this bot is actually taking orders for the food deliveries. So you can actually like write down. Then after that, you have one as a chef. You have one single monitor just to take all this order. Right. So you have the bot serving your customers. Right. So after the bot actually taking orders, it will straight away show on your screen, which is literally you don't have to actually touch on your phone to actually like busy replying your customers or this, or you don't have other people to actually like assisting you to actually reply your customer. So you can do this to help your client. Let's say you are building one bot for your customer, then you can do this, right? Okay, so this is leveraging the SignalR. I think later on our friends will share more about SignalR with you, right? So thank you, and that's all for my presentation and sharing. I hope everyone can actually like stay safe, and hope you enjoy the rest of the night or the day. Right, and you can watch the YouTube, right? YouTube also. Thank you, and I pass to Chun Lin.
Thank you, Marvin. So there seems like no question, right? So we just move on to Jakub. You might take over now, Jakub.
So hello everyone. I will switch my okay. I hope you see my screen.
Yeah.
Super. Okay, so once again, hello everyone. I am Jakub Šturc, and my talk is about C# source generators. Let's start quickly about me. As you can see, I am geek. I am also principal software developer at NET. NET is Swiss consulting company which is delivering innovative software to its customers. So if you need any innovative software, be free to contact me. You can contact me either on my Twitter at Jakub Šturc, or via my website on jakub.sturc.eu, where there are more links on the way how to contact me. And yeah, I am doing all .NET for a very, very long time, almost half of my life. And also I am father of 3 kids, so yeah, I'm proud of that as well. You will not hear them screaming today. I am in the company office, especially because of this meetup, to be in the quiet place. So what is a source code source generator? It's basically a Roslyn analyzer that can emit source code during compilation. So I lent this picture from the article which announced this technology. So basically we have here the compilation which runs, then source generator steps into the compilation. You can analyze in your source generator the code. You can generate the new source code. That this generated code is added as an input to compilation, and compilation continues. So really you are able to inject your source code, generated source code during the compilation. Huge disclaimer, really huge. This is a preview technology which was announced 2 weeks ago, so there is definitely that this will change. Tooling is not fully ready. You still need Visual Studio for this, and there are some glitches. And do not expect 1.0 or even 2.0 quality. Even I didn't found any major problems. And also, I am not expert. I just played with this technology few hours more than you, so do not have very high expectation. Okay, prerequisites. You will need .NET 5 preview, obviously, for that, with new C#, and you need Visual Studio 2009 preview. I am using 16.6.0 preview 6 as of today, which is middle of May 2020. For the future versions, Visual Studio would not be needed, but right now we still need Visual Studio to use this. So demo time. My demo is based on the Roslyn SDK sample. So I will use their sample. Okay, so here is the sample. We have the console application generated a demo, which is the basic console application showing 3 examples, and there is this source generator sample, which where are the generators, where the generators is sitting. So let's start with the first really simple hello world example. So this one, hello world. Let's look into it. Here you can see we have generated hello world namespace, hello world class, and say hello. It's not recognized by IntelliSense. So once I create rebuild, now during the compilation, code is being generated. Hopefully so. Yeah, and now it's the IntelliSense is still telling me that they are not recognizing this symbol. This is actually glitch inside the Visual Studio, and you have to restart Visual Studio to start it working. So I will do it. Yeah, it takes some time. My notebook is quite old. Okay, here we are again. And now, once the symbols are loaded, IntelliSense is no longer complaining, and I believe it syntax highlighting will start working in a while. So not really, but yeah, you can see it's now recognized by tool in the tooltip that it's there is some hello world generated and say hello, even that there is no such things here. So what's the magic behind that? The magic here is in this CS Pro I reference analyzer, which is like it works as a project reference, or it can be the NuGet reference. Nevertheless, the output type is analyzer, and this is just that this reference should not be provided as output during the compilation. So yeah, this is the same way how the Roslyn analyzers are referenced. Important thing is that you need to use lang version preview here. Not because this is dependent on the language itself, it's just they decided not to introduce the custom flag right now. So like they will have, they are just using to enable this feature, they are looking that on this, and this has to be the preview. Okay, maybe it's time to check how is the magic is done. So basically this is the generator. We have the class which implement the iSource generator interface and has this generator attribute. It has basically two methods. one of this in this case is empty. This is initialize method. There is nothing there, and one method execute, which takes one argument source generator context. And here it's not really very nice. Nevertheless, they are using string builder to build the output. So yeah, here we have first class, first part. So hello world in this source builder. We have complete source code, and here we will add context at source. So we will add source file with content of this from this builder. Just here is that it's just encoded. So maybe it's time to run it. So now code is being run. I can step in here. Yeah, now the IntelliSense was working as well in the debug mode. Unfortunately I cannot step into it. It will ask where is the file, and file is not anywhere on my disk. File is on assembly info files. Okay, let's move on. There is one more useful example I want to show you. So this is a more practical example. Let's say you have such XML setting file, and you want this is pretty common situation, and you want to use these XML settings. So one way how to use it, it's to write custom code to do this. We all of us done it many times. So here we can once again use the powers of the code generator. So this is just the way how here the generated XML setting is generated class. It will have a main property which has first run cache size city, and it would be string. And let's make Bratislava my favorite city. So after I'm not compiling here it yet, but we can do it here now. String city Ronas equals and we have city. I don't even have to hit compile. So yes, let's try it out. Okay. Yeah, waiting for the result. Hopefully nothing bad happened. Oh, maybe breakpoint. Oh. Now I am wondering what I broke here, because I don't know what was wrong that time. So now you can see setting city Bratislava, what we expected. So now in this case, the generator is a little bit more complicated. Still, I believe no initialization. So here from the setting, it will check the additional files, like what are other files, if there is this something which is ending with XML settings, as if yes, for each file it will proceed with the generation of the code, and yeah, it will load XML. There is some through the all the string manipulation, but basically it will generate the class. One thing maybe to point out, there is the nice, I never used this combination of ampersand string and string interpolation, but it's apparently possible. And then you are escaping this parenthesis with double parenthesis. This is a small thing I didn't know before, so I'm pointing this out. Okay, so this will generate the file. Maybe we can take a look in here, how the code generated code look like here in the JetBrains.py. This is just a disassembler. So now we can see that in the generated set demo, there are the generated demo itself class. Nevertheless, we have also this hello world generated auto notify and auto setting. So this is our XML setting, auto setting nespace XML settings class, which if we ask to disassemble it, it's basically here. This is the string which we show previously in the code. Then this is materialized as this class. So yeah, it's really compiled inside the file. The magic is here. There is one more example provided out of the box. Due to time limitation, I will not go there. The example is about generating auto notify generator. So like really like if you have MVVR, if you are using MVVR pattern with this, you can generate auto notify on property change automatically. So this would be nice. This is more complex generator. I am not going through that on this demo. Okay, let's go back to my presentation. Oh, I forgot to show you one thing. So let's assume what the question here is. Let's say in this hello world generator, we make some mistake, and we will write this, which is not valid C# code. So what would happen? So I will rebuild this. And build failed, and it's telling me that in the hello world generated file there is a problem. But there is not such file in the here. So like it will error, or it will produce the error like that something is wrong in the file, but file is not existent. So here is probably some something in the tooling. Normally, nobody would look into the CS profile to see that there is from generator. So this is a little bit painful. But under normal circumstances, this works. And let's count one more thing. Let me think. Let me show you. So if you want to debug generator, how to do it? For that, you have to open another Visual Studio. It's the same trick as if you would debug Roslyn Analyzer. So you are not able to debug it directly. So you have to open it at least the project with generators on the separate Visual Studio. Now I can add the breakpoint here, and I will attach to the process on to VBCS compiler project process. I will this when I attach to that. Okay, I know what's maybe wrong, so I probably have to rebuild this first because it's not one which is and probably this well as well. Now I can try to attach to this process again. Now we will have something is wrong here. Okay. I will try once more, and if this is not working, then I will skip this. But in that case, you would have to trust me that this is really something. No, not working. Not sure why, but usually it's previously it worked that really. If you have, you will attach to that process in the second Visual Studio, and then you can debug it. I'm not really sure why it's not working. I did something wrong. Not still. I don't know at this moment why. Or maybe try to remove this bad code from here and give it the last final trial. Rebuild. Now it should succeed. Okay. Now attach to a process. Okay, now it's working. Yeah, now I'm attached. And now if I really start to build this generated demo, then I would expect that I would hit this breakpoint, but obviously not. Oh, maybe because it's up to date, so let's try to rebuild it. Oh, now. Yeah, so now I am debugging. Now on the other Visual Studio, you see that compilation is still running here. And now I am able to debug my source code generator. So here, after I can see really the output of the generated class and everything. Let's go back to the presentation. That was the demo. So we saw that it is working with IntelliSense. We saw how the generated code look like in the disassembly. we saw that we cannot debug right now. In the future they want to add, but right now you cannot debug generated code, and I show you how to debug generator. Okay, some good use cases for this is generate C# from Node C# file, like with this XML settings, maybe with some CSVs. This would be very nice. You can add serialization, custom serialization very easily to your classes. This would be nice use case as well. We can think about automatic interface implementation. This would be in some cases very cool as well. Or I was thinking about wrapping the class. This is usually the problem I have, that I want to wrap the class and implement just one method especially, and this is usually very tedious and boring code. And of course, this is very new idea. So you probably would new technology. So you would probably have a lot of your ideas as well. What is this not good for? Fit for? With this technology, you cannot modify existing source code. So you can only add source code. So like there is no rewriting, there is no changes. So like this is only for adding the code. This is very, very important. Theoretically, you can implement new language features. It would be a little bit tricky because you cannot remove it, but it would be possible. Nevertheless, this is very unrecommended because C# will change, and then your code would obsolete if this is breaking change. So this is not really good fit for implementing new language features according to your wish. And aspect-oriented programming would be as well difficult because it would depend on the source code rewriting. But with the second demo, which I show you quickly, I show you dirty trick how to do a little bit of changing semantics of the code even without modifying existing code. So I have this console write line hijacker. So what I did here is that I wrote a source generator that basically for each namespace in the project, it will generate internal static class for in that namespace, which implement console write line. So basically, if you are just writing console write line in your code, if you are just calling console write line in your code without fully quantifying it, then by injecting this class into your namespace, compiler will decide to use your class, your instead of the system class. This is some, I would call, ugly trick, very ugly. Don't use it in the production, which can do this. My implementation is really, really simple. Just for this demo, it's just adding lines to the console. The implementation here, we need to have a initiate when we register syntax receiver. This is I will not go through this, but basically this is the visitor pattern where it's go on with the syntax receiver. It will go through the all syntax nodes, and on the syntax nodes it will check if there is a namespace declaration, and if it is so, I will collect this namespace, and then execute is really simple. I will go through all collected namespaces, and for each I generated this code. So that's it. So when I uncommented this one, so I can just execute it. It will be automatically generated in the example, and now you can see no lines. Why there are no lines here? Maybe I will close one studio, so these two studios are probably fighting with each other. And let's try it again. So something wrong here. It works really fluently previously. So let's do it again. override. You can see this there are no line numbers here, because this code this is not was not present in my during the compilation. This is one. So this code was not in the code which was overridden by my generated code, which is a little bit funny because I am using multiple generators on the one project. So if these generators would be executed in different order, it may be that this would be overridden as well. But in this case, it isn't. The order of the generators are currently not guaranteed. This is once again by design, because they don't want to depend on this right now. In the future, they will maybe introduce the order, but right now they are not doing anything. So the order may be random. So because of that, this is belong to the generated class, which was not overridden, not affected by my dirty trick, other console write lines. Okay, so this was the second demo. One obvious question you may ask is how this differs from T4 templates. So what they have common is that both techniques are for generating new code. It's not for rewriting of existing code. The T4 can generate any file, not just C# file. So it's a little bit different use case. On the other hand side, T4 depends on the Visual Studio and the Windows. So T4 cannot run outside Visual Studio. You need Visual Studio and Windows to run T4. So it's not really .NET Core multi-platform technology. And one advantage is that generators run inside the compiler. So it has out-of-the-box access to syntactic and semantic tree, unlike T4. In the future, the source generators will be able to run by command line or inside your build system. In the future version, this is planned, not yet supported. Okay, if you want to learn more about this, you can go to these two articles. One is an introduction to C# source generator article on the Microsoft side. The second one is the source generators codebook on the GitHub. So, do you have any questions? Let me scroll from the chat.
Hello, actually, I have a question. If you open say hello, if you go to that method,
in the generator,
not
right?
in the generator, in where it is used.
Okay.
And if you press F12, what happens?
It will that.
Okay. Interesting. Oh, okay. Anyway, it looks really like nice technology. I can imagine one more use case is to automatically generate C# from resource files. As I mean, it will not be necessary then to store it in source in repository.
Oh yeah, that's correct. The question is if you. One thing they are considering is to provide the settings that these files would be persisted on the disk. Would be not only the memory. Now it's only the memory. For to some extent, I would maybe like to have the files on the disk. So during the compilation, you can step into it. But maybe they are able to do it somehow otherwise. That you are without even that source is persisted. That you are able to step into it and to debug. So, and maybe when I can see the argument for both cases is that you want to store and maybe even in your version controls to store the files, and the other way around that you don't want to have files in your source control. So it really depends. generated files, I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you. Are there any other questions?
I am checking YouTube chat, but I don't see any. Okay, what's T4 is question? T4 is the technology for source code generation, which is already there for 20 years, or maybe not 20, but for quite a long. T4 templates. Yeah, this is the old technology, which is really there. It was TTT and 4Ts, and this has text transformation, something text templating file, no, some text transformation templating something. This is acronym for the T4 templates. So this is something, for example, Entity Framework was using back in the times for generating the classes and so on. Okay, if this is all, then thank you, and yeah, Rasťo, it's your turn.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Jakub. Okay, now let me share the screen. Hopefully you can see that.
Yeah.
It's here. Okay, so I will talk about a much older technology than what is the source generators, but hopefully still relatively cool. It will be about SignalR that is used for real-time communication. Okay, so shortly about me. I'm Rasťo Novotný. I work as a software architect at Culke. Actually, I come from Slovakia, but currently, or already for 2 years, I live and work in Singapore. And I work in software development for more than 15 years, mostly with Microsoft technologies like .NET, Azure, but not only. Maybe if you want to find out more, you can check out my website, duracelco.net, or you can follow me on GitHub or Twitter. Nickname is Duracelco. Shortly about me. So at first, what is SignalR? SignalR is actually duplex remote procedure call protocol. Duplex is mean that in single session or in a channel, it's possible to that client call server, but also server can call client procedures on client. It's a relatively simple protocol. I mean, it has only 9 types of messages. And it's open protocol and open source. I mean, it's on one side, I mean, it's not like big standard in a way. I mean, there is no World Wide Web Consortium standard or ISO or anything like that. But I mean, the protocol is developed open source, and even the source implementation and also the protocol itself is documented at GitHub. And I mean, it's kind of popular because, as I said, it's relatively simple. And it supports different transport protocols. I will get back to that. So what are supported platforms? I mean, on server side, it's supported in ASP.NET Core, and there is older version ASP.NET SignalR. Be aware, I mean, that these two versions are not compatible with each other. Like ASP.NET Core is a newer protocol. Although, I mean, the principles are almost the same, but they are not really compatible. And of course, I mean, ASP.NET SignalR works with ASP.NET. I mean, the the old ASP.NET, and ASP.NET Core or SignalR Core works with ASP.NET Core. And then on the client side, I mean, it's implemented or it supports .NET Standard too. So basically, it can run in almost any .NET environment. So I mean, .NET Framework, .NET Core, Xamarin, and so on. Then also there is implementation TypeScript for TypeScript and JavaScript. There is Java implementation, and there are unofficial implementation for C++ and Swift. For the client, I mean, as I said, that there are two non-compatible versions, ASP.NET Core and SignalR. And for the clients, actually, there are also two sets of clients. I mean, there is one client is for Core protocol, and one client is for older protocol. So, as I said, I mean, yeah, it's stateful. I mean, it supports stateful duplex channel. So it means that the client can call procedures on a server, and server can call procedure on a client. But I mean, for that, there needs to be set up session at first. So I mean, therefore, it's stateful. Stateful, so in the order of procedures, I mean, or there can be somehow managed state between calls. It's actually it's mostly optimized for web communication or in web environment. It's quite a nice addition to HTTP, as it actually enables real-time communication between server and client. I mean, ideally, I think the primary goal was somehow to enable to send the notifications to client from server. So regarding remote procedure calls, it supports, I mean, two types procedures with no return value, fire and forget. Really optimized for events and notifications, just basically, again, I mean, call the client or server and no need to wait for return value. But it also supports the procedures with return value. But be aware, I mean, that this blocks the session. I mean, for example, if on a client you call a procedure on a server and while you are waiting for return value, I mean, another method cannot be executed, or I mean, it can be executed, but it will be just sent to the queue. I mean, they will not really run in parallel. This is supposed to be solved in ASP.NET 5 or in next version. Just, I mean, at the moment there is this limitation. I mean, as I said, I mean, I think it's really quite optimized for fire and forget scenarios. And I mean, of course, I mean, there is no support for passing, or all parameters are passed by values as they're serialized, and there is nothing like pass by reference. So underlying protocols, I mean, for transport, there are three protocols. WebSocket is, I think, the newest one. That is really, I mean, optimized for real-time communication, or I mean, to support the session between client and server. And it's somehow like extension of HTTP. So, and it's pretty quite standard, supported in almost all browsers. The next is long polling. This works the way that it's like long HTTP call. So I mean, the client sends a request and then just waits until there is really some response from server, or I mean, until the server actually has any message for the client. And then the server sent events. This is, I'm not sure if this is used anymore. I mean, this was a protocol used before WebSocket. where clients could somehow register for callbacks. But I think now as WebSockets are quite supported, I mean, they are preferred options. Then regarding the data serialization, I mean, how to pass the parameters and return values, I mean, so they can be serialized into JSON. And again, there are two options. I mean, by default, they're serialized by system text JSON. If for some reason you need advanced serialization or some advanced parameters, then you can still use Newtonsoft JSON, and it supports also message pack. That is actually binary protocol, so I mean it's very efficient. But I mean, again, current version supports message pack version 1. It is recommended actually to implement or to upgrade to 1.9 as it implements some or fixes some security vulnerabilities. There exists already message pack version 2, but I mean I haven't found any support for that in SignalR. So let's have a look at the demo. So what I will present is my favorite application that I use for demo, that I developed some time ago. It's Planning Poker. Just for people who don't know this, it's Planning Poker for distributed teams. And I mean, it's quite nice demo for SignalR as it really requires real-time communication. So I mean, for example, Scrum Master creates the team. And then I will, example. Then another member will join team. Then Scrum Master can start the estimation. Then people can estimate. And when all estimates, when everyone estimates, then you can see the result of the estimation. So how is this implemented? So actually, I will start briefly. I mean, originally it was implemented using Web API. So I mean, basically this is the old ASP.NET Core controller implementing Web API. I mean, so there were two types of APIs or actions, commands. I mean, for example, create team, join team, submit estimation, so on. And then there was actually get messages that client actually can ask for notifications or wait for notifications. So this is really the controller. It even returns the action result. And I mean, some time ago, I modified or I converted this to SignalR. And as you can see, I mean, if the controller is relatively nicely designed, then the conversion to SignalR is relatively simple. I mean, so instead of controller, you need to implement a hub or SignalR hub. And then the method, for example, if you look at the create team, it does not need any attributes like HTTP GET and so on, because it's really the remote procedure call protocol, SignalR. So you define just procedure, and then actually the inside of the procedure is basically the same. The only difference is that we return directly the object or the data. Don't need to wrap it in action item. And then also error handling. I mean, for example, in this case, in the controller, we return bad request. That is 403, I think, error. And so in this case, we usually should return hub exception or throw hub exception. Otherwise, I mean, it's basically very same. But I mean, quite difference is in get messages. Get messages works the way that, I mean, client tells server that whenever there are messages, just send notify me. So how it works is that maybe I will really go this way. I wanted. So I mean, it basically returns. It waits for messages. Yeah. Okay. So this method actually returns task that waits on messages, and when messages are available, when the task is finished. It converts to client data, and basically, sorry, on client context. It finds client with a specific connection ID, and then just notifies the client. So I will start from the beginning. So at first, I mean, the first thing what we need to do is define interface, like what kind of methods can we call on a client or procedures. So I mean, this is basically, you can just notify, there is just one method for client where we can push or pass a collection of messages. Then when here it is injected. Then we inject, or we basically obtain iHub context. One important thing is that hub is not, or the lifetime of hub is actually per procedure call. It's not persistent per session. So I mean, like each procedure call is creates new hub instance. What is static, or what has lifetime per connection is actually iHub context. iHub context somehow represents the connection itself. So I mean, therefore, I mean, for example, you should not use or persist any state in this class. That should be somehow managed between procedure calls, because it will be lost. I mean, this class after end of procedure or single call will be disposed. So therefore, we need to obtain iHub context that has also that is of type, or has injected type iPlanning poker, that is the client, and then actually on the context we can get the current connection ID, that is connection ID to the specific client that just called this method or this procedure. And then when we actually want to send message to the client, we find the client with a specific connection ID that we obtained, and then we can actually call the methods on the interface. So that's the how we can notify or send or call procedures on a client. And now how it works on a client. Or at first, one more thing that I would like to show is then of course, I mean, we need to somehow prepare or configure the application to use. That is relatively simple. I mean, it's again, I mean, this is the startup class for ASP.NET Core application. So I mean, for services, we need to configure, I mean, we need to register SignalR service. Then, I mean, if you want to use specific protocols, I mean, we can, for example, configure that we want to use Newtonsoft JSON protocol. And then the next step is anything else? No, only we need to register endpoints. And here we register hub, and then it's available on specific address. That's basically all that needs to be registered. And now on the client, in our client. So on a client, maybe I start with builder. Actually, I think maybe I can go here. So for example, on a client, we want to create a call. This is not client, sorry, this client. We want to call create team method. So at first we need to create connection. I mean, for to create connection, actually there is a class hub connection builder that I just hub connection builder. That at least what we need to specify is the URL of the the URL of the service or of the hub. And I mean, then again, I mean, for example, we can specify that we want to use the Newtonsoft protocol. And then we can also specify that it should, when the connection is lost, it should try to automatically reconnect. So when the connection is we build the connection, then we need to start connection. And when the connection is started, then we can just invoke method or the procedure. So I mean, when the first parameter is actually the name of the method, and then the parameters that should be passed to server. And then again, I mean, either we can expect the return value, but as I said, I mean, these are actually the blocking calls, or without return value. Like for example, when we have start estimation, we just invoke start estimation, and this does not really wait for the return value as there is none. So that's about how to use it, how to implement it. I didn't forget anything. So just summary. So hub is similar to controller. There is one instance of hub per request. Hub context has lifetime per session, and procedures can be also synchronous or asynchronous, or can return task. Hub context can be used to call clients. I just showed the example, for example, calling the specific client with specific connection ID. It needs to be configured in startup class. That is also relatively simple. Also, what I didn't maybe show. I recommend explicit logging. Here is the server. No, this is service. Where is hub? Here is hub. At the beginning of every method, I mean, I explicitly log that this method was called. The reason is, I mean, the advantage of, for example, of using controller is that the ASP.NET Core automatically logs or creates a log for every request. But it's not true for for hub. I mean, it creates also logs, but I mean only if you specify that you want the debug logs, but probably you don't want that. I mean, because it would log much more information that you want. So if you want to have some information like what calls or what procedures were called on the server, then unfortunately you need to log it explicitly. And on a client, so there is Hub Connection Builder that you can actually use to create new Hub connection. Then a Hub Connection actually maintains session with server. You can use start async, stop async to start and stop connection. Then invoke async to call server procedure. I forgot to ask actually how to register callbacks on a client. I will get back to that. So on a client, for example, when we have get messages, so here we request to here we basically send requests that we want to get messages, and here a collection of messages. Then basically this method should be executed. So that's the registration. And also regarding there is the ensure connected. Then I mean also I here somehow developed kind of pattern to make sure. I mean one more thing is that you cannot do invoke on a client before opening the connection. So I mean if you for example, if I would call invoke async create team before the connection is really opened or started, it throws exception. So therefore, actually, I use this pattern that I mean before every call, I call ensure connected, and I mean at first, I mean if the connection is not created, I create connection. I can even register for the events reconnecting, reconnected, so on. Then I mean, while it is in state reconnecting, I just wait until it is really reconnected. If it was not successfully, if it is in the end disconnected, I basically start connection, try to wait for it, and only then actually I go back to call the original method that I wanted. I mean, all this project is open source on GitHub, so I mean, you feel free to actually take this implementation for relatively easy wrapping of calling of server methods. Yeah. Then yeah, one more thing is, as I said, I mean the client supports reconnecting. You just need to explicitly say that by default reconnecting is not used. And the last thing I want to talk about is that SignalR actually also supports broadcasting and multicasting. It means that from the server you can actually send or call the procedures on multiple clients. For example, you can call it on a group of clients, or on clients with specific collection, or on all clients that are actually connected to the server. So again, I mean the demo, another demo. I mean for this I just use the demo that is actually really official SignalR demo. So as you can see, I mean it's quite simple. It's the chat application where the hub is actually relatively simple. I mean you can just call on the hub the method where you specify name and message, I mean the username and message, and then basically just broadcast the message to all clients. All clients. So I mean, you can use all clients, but you can also specify a group. I mean, either you can get the group of clients and call the method on group of clients or on a user. Regarding group, actually, it's a really custom thing. When I go to hub, I mean, on connecting, I mean, you can register to this event when a client is connected, and on connected, actually, you can add client to a group or the specific connection to a group, and then therefore, I mean, then you can later on say that send this message to this group, and it will send message to group of clients. I mean, and it's really, I mean, group is just string that you can use. That's a group, or you can send to a specific user. User is actually recognized by when he's authenticated. So by username, there is a claim username. So then you can actually send to a username. And again, I mean, if the user has multiple connections, for example, he has multiple browser windows opened, then actually it is still broadcasted to all connections with the same username. And then I can also show briefly. This one actually includes the implementation of client in JavaScript, and as you can see, I mean, it's also relatively simple. You create a Signal hub connection builder with specific URL, then build the connection. Then also, I mean, on connection, you register a callback. For example, when the broadcast message is executed or called from the server, then it basically just adds new elements to HTML, and then you can start the connection. And that's it. And the last thing is authentication authorization. I mean, it basically uses the authentication from ASP.NET Core. So, I mean, you can basically register the same authentication providers. I mean, use cookies, JWT bearer authentication or Windows authentication. Just for a JWT bearer authentication, the token must be sent in URL query, not as a web header, because WebSockets do not support HTTP headers. Actually, it's then documented how to deal with it or how to implement it. So maybe it's not like 100% straightforward, but it kind of works. And the last thing is that SignalR core supports is they call it streaming, and this is the way that actually you can call or you can pass async enumerable, and this actually calls the server multiple times. I mean, whenever there is a new result available in IEnumerable. So I mean, server can return async enumerable each item. And the same way also actually client can pass async enumerable to server, and then also, I mean, server actually can wait for multiple requests. So that was introduction to SignalR that you could actually briefly see also in Marvin's presentation on chatbots. So let me check, are there any questions? No. Okay, so I guess not. Probably everyone already sleepy as it's late here. So thank you very much. Anyway, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Jakub. Thank you, Rasťo, and also Marvin. Thank you very much. Yeah. So thank you all of you for joining us from different places in the world also. So I hope you all enjoy the sessions today. So this sharing session is automatically recorded and will be published later by YouTube within like 10 to 20 minutes on the same link. So just check out the recording later. And finally, I hope that you and your loved ones stay healthy and stay safe during this period. See you all next time. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.